We have new data for the presidential election map, and I'm going to be doing my next forecast. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video with On Point Politics, your number one stop for all things polling and election analysis in the United States. And today we're going to be looking at my updated forecast. Make sure to hit the like button and to subscribe if you want more content just like this. And so just a couple things. We are going to start using new crosstab data from the Fox voter analysis. Now, apparently, according to SoCal Strategies, the pollster that we work with, these are the official exit polls that it uses. There's a lot more respondents to these than the ones we've been using beforehand. And the way they do them is a little bit more accurate according to SoCal Strategies. So these are the exit poll demographics that we are going to be looking at from now on when we do cross-examination of the polling data. And so looking at this, what we did for this video is essentially we got our latest national poll from SoCal Strategies, which me and Ready Go Politics sponsored. And Harris is up by 2. And what we did is we looked at the 2020 recall vote, and we basically compared the crosstabs to the exit polls and the 2020 sample, and then plugged in the current samples and then found an adjusted error. And essentially you ended up getting this thing where now you have, the new crosstabs, and we plug that data into 538, and that's what's going to fuel the election forecast for today. We are also going to incorporate kind of our own analysis, and if a few state margins got to change here and there, then we will do that. But as of right now, that's going to be the main way we do the predictions right now. And so looking at the map right now, the state of Utah is in the safe Republican column. Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, both Dakotas, all of Nebraska except the 2nd congressional district, as well as Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, as well as Tennessee, Kentucky, Missouri, Indiana, as well as West Virginia. All of these are in the safe Republican column for this video, giving Donald Trump 113 safe electoral college votes. For Harris, we have the states of Washington in the safe Democrat column, as well as California. We also have the state of Hawaii in this column. We also have Maryland and Massachusetts, as well as DC and Vermont. We also have Delaware at 16 points for Harris, as well as Connecticut at 17 points for Harris. And we have Rhode Island at about 18 points for Harris in this video. The state of New York is also a 20-point victory for Kamala Harris. Maine's 1st congressional district will not be in the safe column for this video, giving Harris 139 safe electoral college votes. These are states that would go for either candidate by over 15 points. This is what it looked like in the last cycle. All of the states filled in the darkest color of blue or red were over 15-point victories for either candidate. And we clearly see Donald Trump has slightly expanded his amount of safe states, while Harris, safe states has fell from Biden's margin, has definitely fallen. Biden had about 181 safe electoral college votes. Now Harris is only at 139. So clearly there is a little bit of weakness with Harris as a candidate. Looking at the likely Republican states, we have Iowa and Ohio in this column. Iowa is going to be in the likely column at 10 points for Donald Trump, and Ohio at 10 points as well. Donald Trump and he basically gains about 2 points in each of these states, and this would make sense because the national poll we got is about Harris plus 2, and if the states are moving 2 points to the right with the national environment, we would suspect that the states are not really trending anywhere, which would kind of make sense right now, especially since Donald Trump isn't really gaining with whites too much. He's only gaining with whites by about 2, but actually loses ground with blacks from 2020, which is kind of strange. And that may have to do with the fact that blacks have been oversampled, especially a lot of liberal ones. Looking at South Carolina, that's going to be in a 13.5-point column. The state of Florida is going to be a 5.6 percentage point victory, which I don't really know. I think it's going to be higher than that. It's probably going to be a 9 or 10 point win. Texas, I think, is going to be like around 8 to 9 as well, 7 to 9. but here it's about an 8.6 percentage point win in the forecast. So that's that. And the state of North Carolina is not in that column either. Means second congressional district is going to be in the likely Republican column, as well as Alaska at 12 points. Maine second is also 12 points. So that gives Trump 219 electoral votes so far, and he's not that far from winning the presidency. Only 51 more electoral college votes, and he is the president of the United States. Looking at Harris's likely states, we have Oregon in this column as of right now by about 13.5 points. Colorado by 10, even though I do suspect that it's going to be a bigger margin. Illinois in this video is going to roughly be as a 14.4 percentage point victory. New Jersey in the 13-point column as well. So that is also pretty fascinating. Maine is also going to be in the likely column, as well as Maine's first congressional district. Maine at large is going to be about a 7-point win, and Maine's first about a 12-point victory. Virginia is in the likely column in this video at around 7.6 percentage points for Kamala Harris, and New Mexico at about 8 points for Harris, which puts her at around 211 likely plus safe electoral college votes. And you roughly have this battleground map here of multiple states in this video. Looking at North Carolina, a state that Donald Trump has won twice, a state that he won by 1.3% in the last cycle. He is currently projected to win it by 3.4% in this video, which would give him the upper hand in the electoral college, getting him to 235, very short of winning the presidency, just 35 more electoral college votes. He's probably going to improve in rural North Carolina and in some of the suburban areas overall, which is going to give him the boost in the state. Looking at Georgia, he is up in the state by 1.9 percentage points. The racial demographic category in the model did actually kind of sway the map here a little bit. It was about a 3-point win, but with the demographic model, with racial demographics included, it did actually push the margin back down to a 2-point victory. So that is pretty interesting. Arizona coming in at 2.1%. So it does seem like, according to this modeling, Harris is winning Arizona or losing Arizona by more than Georgia, which I think is quite interesting. And the state of Nevada right now is in the tilt Democrat or tilt Republican column, excuse me. It is a tilt Democrat state. Now, do I think it's going to be tilt? No, it's probably going to be in the lean category if Donald Trump is improving with Hispanics. And I mean, that's the group here that he's improving with the most. I mean, it says here that right now, he basically lost them by 28. Now he's losing them by about 27. But I think it's going to probably be a little bit more than that, in my opinion. And so that's why I'm going to put Nevada in the lean Republican column. In Arizona, voting to the right of Georgia honestly makes more sense because the electorate in Arizona was way more Republican than Georgia. It's just that the independents in Arizona broke more Democrat than the ones in Georgia. And so that would make a lot of sense to see that be the case as of right now, considering if older African-American women are kind of flocking to Harris right now in the Atlanta suburbs. Now, looking at the Rust Belt, Minnesota is interesting because right now in the forecast, it's actually a 4.5 percentage point victory according to the modeling that we've done, which is interesting, kind of similar to polling that we've got. And presumably Harris loses ground in Hennepin and Trump kind of makes some gains in the rules, but doesn't do well enough to win statewide. New Hampshire is interesting because right now it's a 4.9 percentage point victory. So again, another interesting analysis as of right now. And so clearly, Donald Trump is going to make some inroads from 2020, but not quite enough to actually win the state. And so we have the final Rust Belt states on the map here. And if we look at it, it's very interesting. We see Wisconsin, a 1.7 percentage point victory for Donald Trump. More than likely, those driftless counties and the wild counties are going to revert back to Donald Trump, giving him the state of Wisconsin. And in Pennsylvania, the former president is also winning here by 1.2%. Presumably Philadelphia County and the northeastern area as a whole are going to shift right after this whole Scranton Joe facade is gone, including, some parts of Erie County are going to shift back to the former president. and looking at Nebraska second, it's actually a very tilt Republican margin, very close. It is a 0.05 percentage point win for Donald Trump. It could honestly go either way. And the last state on the map is the state of Michigan, which is a 0.7 percentage point victory in the forecast. What's very interesting about this model, at least this demographic model, has some pretty similar margins to what I have in my own model. I mean, yes, Wisconsin's voting to the left of Pennsylvania, which it's not doing that in the demographic model, but Arizona is voting to the right of Georgia in the demographic model. And the margin in Florida is pretty close. The margin in Texas is somewhat close to that as well. North Carolina's is not that off. The Nevada margin isn't terribly off either. Michigan's margin is almost spot on. Minnesota a little bit off. Iowa and Ohio, the numbers are relatively close. So it is pretty interesting that the demographic modeling from a poll that I trust, the poll that, me and Red Eagle Politics sponsored, that we feel like SoCal Strategies is doing the correct thing when it comes to weighing, and we trust his process of going through the data. Very interesting to see that the demographic model, incorporating age, income, and all of that, is very similar result to what the model has. The model has about 297 to 241 because that Nebraska second goes blue, but we may be not counting for the fact that that district was redrawn to be more Republican friendly, and so that may be the reason why that is the case. And so that is it, guys. Trump at 298, Electoral College votes to Harris's 240. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to hit the like button and to subscribe for more content just like this, and I will see you guys in the next video.